Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Tom, I will say the market is not looking bad this morning. The SPY is up 0.7%. We have a decent amount of stocks in the green, definitely the majority of my watch list. I hope you saw Delta Airlines today because that thing is up 9%. It is just skyrocketing. Basically, they raised their March quarter revenue outlook and gave some pretty good guidance. So Delta Airlines, everyone, is definitely one of the leading stocks this morning. And Tom, you know we can't forget about stocks like Facebook, Zoom, Tesla, Asana, stuff like that. It's all in the green this morning.
Yeah, hopefully they keep rising. I know it's been a crazy past few days, Mike. Like we keep seeing the market pop up like right at market open, kind of like yesterday, and then tank right back off. So hopefully we see some nice breakouts today. If Facebook could break above 192, I'd really love that type of price action there. Obviously, they have a long way to go. Hopefully Facebook gets back up towards $200, at least over the next couple of weeks. I think that would make for some nice movement. But you're right, the airlines are really exploding. Delta is up 9%. Southwest is up 7%. American is also up 6%. So you're right, these airlines are definitely having a day and leading my watch list by a lot. And then we even have some of these vaccine stocks like Moderna continuing up. You know, they're not exploding up above the high of yesterday, but they're definitely up a lot from the closing price yesterday.
Yeah, that is true. And then another one, Tom, is Asana or Asana, whatever you want to say, ASAN. This is the stock where Dustin Moskovitz has been just trucking his money into. Dustin Moskovitz is one of the co-founders of Facebook. He's a billionaire. He went on to lead Asana, and he has been buying so much of this stock over the past couple of months. It is jaw-dropping. It's been over $1 billion of his own dollars, Tom, which is just crazy to think about. And the stock just continues to fall. Now, I have been taking some bullish positions on Asana. You know, it's just like I just got some shares on it. It's mainly for the long term, but you know, it's up like 3% today, which is good. But then again, it's like when you fall from 70 down to 30 in a couple weeks, it's like, you know, like you kind of expect some sort of pop.
Yeah, exactly. You need some type of nice upwards momentum. And to be honest, I think we could probably see it come back up a little bit more. I mean, ever since that earnings report, Mike, like you said, they've been just tanking off to the downside. That's just given the last week, not even over the past couple months. Like you said, it's been even worse. So hopefully they keep going back. I know so far today it's having a pretty nice one. Whenever we first started looking at it, Mike, it was up 2.5% or something. Now we're at 3.6%. So I feel like it can definitely recover. And as it goes up, there's going to be a pretty big resistance around like $38 here. So hopefully we can get up there today, Mike. I think it would make for some awesome movement. I know this stock has been on the radar a lot. Like you said, whenever you have an insider buying $1 billion worth of stock, I mean, that's pretty telling there, especially whenever it was the old co-founder of Facebook.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be interesting, but it's definitely a stock to watch. Zoom is also moving today, Tom. It's up almost 4%, so it's pretty good. And I will say this is looking pretty promising so far. Now, I will say this too. Yesterday, we were in the same setup, and Zoom ended up getting rejected really hard off of that 300 SMA.
Yeah, it really did. That was a pretty big level there yesterday. And as we rise up today, Mike, we're going to be heading back up towards $100 again. And I'm curious to see if Zoom will be able to break back above that. I know yesterday it popped above it for those few minutes there, back up to like 102.50. So hopefully we see a nice pop above 100. I think that would make for some nice price action with Zoom, to say the least. I know that we definitely need Zoom to start doing better, Mike. It's been a long time since we've seen Zoom get some nice momentum. And like, look at this daily chart. I mean, for the past 6 months, the only time it had two back-to-back green days was only like 2 times on the way down here. So we definitely need some nice continuation out of this one. And who knows, maybe Powell will help out some of these growth stocks, Mike. I know that you know, the market's been really going down a lot lately, and I know Powell's been a pretty good cheerleader. So hopefully he helps us out with the FOMC meeting, and who knows, maybe the market will like the 0.25% rate hike. I mean, I know that the market's been trying to price that in for a while now, and I feel like the bank stocks were rising yesterday in anticipation of this, and it looks like they're also going back up again today.
All right, good stuff. Yeah. I mean, that press conference will be huge tomorrow. So That's important. On a different note, Peter said ASTR has a launch day today, and it's moving well. So I have not been following ASTR too much, but Tom, anything with launches is giant for these like space stocks. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure what time the launch is at, but yeah, that's a pretty big catalyst.
Yeah, I saw something. I thought that there was supposed to be a launch like yesterday or something, but then some bad weather came in, so they had to like reschedule it for today. I'm not 100%, but I do remember hearing some stuff about it. It's definitely been a pretty big event, Mike. Like yesterday, a lot of volume started coming into Astra. Even Friday before close, there was some pretty big volume coming in. So interesting to see that. Maybe we will see a nice pop, Mike. I know that if these launches go well, these stocks sometimes start to really rip. And to be honest, Astra's kind of straddling this $4 resistance. Maybe it will start to break out. I think that would make for some awesome day trading opportunities, Mike. Like if we look at Astra on the 5-minute chart, if we just wait for it to break above 390 and then move up towards $4, it might make for some nice movement there, especially for some day trades.
Yep, we shall see. So we have Carlos saying good morning. Is the meeting today? Kind of, but not really. So technically there is a Fed or FOMC meeting today, but it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with like the public. So tomorrow is when we get the Fed's official decision, and then that's also when we have Powell's press conference. So Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the Fed the Fed decision at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and then 30 minutes later at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have when Powell speaks. So
yeah, that is exactly the times there. And like you said, Mike, one of the big things with the whole FOMC meeting is going to be like them talking, and you know how sometimes those minutes come out. So like whenever Powell speaks at his press conference, it's only just like a summary of the meetings. You know, it's not
right
the total in-depth conversation. Normally a couple weeks later, those minutes come out, and then we can see the full conversation. But Powell generally has done some pretty good summaries lately.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But yeah, the meeting will be huge tomorrow, so be aware at like 2 p.m. EST. And then we have Lou saying VXX and the SPY is up. What does that mean today? I actually just saw that. Someone posted that in the Discord. Yeah, and that's normally not the best sign, because normally what happens is when we have the market rising, the VXX falls. But when the VXX rises, that just anticipates the market pricing in like fear and volatility. So the fact that we have the market going up and the VXX going up, it's like, all right, the market's going up, but then people are like, wait, we're about to get really volatile pretty soon. So it is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, it is. Like in the past, I've seen a few situations where this has happened, and you know, I'm not saying that every single time this happens, but sometimes I've seen the VXX start flying up like this with the market, Mike, and then the market will end up tanking off over the next couple of days. So definitely be aware. Hopefully hopefully this volatility, Mike, is showing that the market will start flying up, but I doubt it. You know, I really do, given all the fears and everything going on right now. I really hope we see a nice pop whenever Powell starts speaking, but I don't think it's going to necessarily be the biggest pop in the world. In my opinion, Mike, I feel like I'm leaning more to the downside on this meeting. I really hope the market perceives it better than I'm expecting. But either way, you know, there's just been so much tensions and stuff. I feel like that Powell might also start to talk about the impact that Russia's been having on our economy. I know that whenever he testified to Congress a couple weeks ago, he said that as of then, he wasn't able to accurately gauge how much Russia is going to affect their decisions. But once they start talking in these meetings and stuff, hopefully he has some nice resolutions for us.
Yep, there we go. And then also, let's see. Carlos said that he took Tom's advice and bought an in-the-money Bank of America 39 strike call for April 14th. It has been a safe play going up slowly. There we go. Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice that you got in the money, especially in a time where IV is high. So awesome stuff there, Carlos and Tom. Tom, what are you seeing with BAC?
Yeah, it's actually like it had been falling off in a pretty big way there. I know it came down, kind of tested that support down there around $38 to $40. Now we're back up above 40 as of this morning in the past couple of days. It's looking pretty good, especially on the intraday chart. The big thing with Bank of America, though, is going to be how these banks react to Powell tomorrow. I know that Powell, obviously, those interest rate decisions and stuff have a huge impact on banks. And we've been seeing banks kind of flying down, Mike. And I know a lot of people have said that the Russia situation, it's caused the feds to not want to raise rates as quickly. And the banks wanted those rates raised. So looking at it, I think the banks will do decent, but it's all going to depend on how they react to him tomorrow. Because if they don't like, for example, if Powell says that they're not going to raise rates as quickly or something, the banks might not perceive that the best, and they might start to fall back down. Now, I'm hoping that the banks enjoy this news and they start going back up. But, we always have to be prepared of both scenarios. But that's my main concern right now with Bank of America. Other than the stuff going on tomorrow, I'm liking the price action a lot.
There we go. Yeah, and then Vicky actually said that Zoom was upgraded at benchmark to 140. So that's pretty nice. That's like over a 40% increase relative to the current price. But yeah, that's awesome. So hopefully it pops up. I am a pretty big fan of Zoom, and Zoom has been doing pretty well fundamentally, but the market has been treating Zoom in a pretty rough way. So we'll see what happens. But I do really like it for the long term, and today's movement is looking good so far, but we still have a lot of resistance right at 100.
Yeah, we do. That resistance is going to be big. And Mike, I just went on my Thinkorswim news tab, and while we do have benchmark upgrading Zoom, I actually saw that Wells Fargo cut their price target from Zoom. It looks like they adjusted it from they adjusted it from 145 down to 105, which is that's a pretty big adjustment there. So hopefully benchmark is correct and we see it go back up to 124. That would definitely be nice for me to see. But yeah, I mean, so far today, Mike, Zoom looked like it was having a pretty nice open, and then now it's starting to pull back down just a little bit. We're definitely not bearish yet, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes on it. Hopefully we start to rise back up here soon.
For sure. Alrighty, so I'm just doing another quick scan to see some notable plays so far. It does look like Lucid Lucid and Rivian are both breaking their low of day right now. They're actually both selling off in a pretty significant way.
Man, Lucid is looking scary, Mike. Even on the daily chart, they are starting to really break below some major supports. They're almost back down to around $20 a share now. Man, this sell-off has been absolutely insane with Lucid. We had a huge run up at the end of the year. As soon as the new year hit, we've just been going almost straight back to the downside. It's definitely not been good for both companies, but you know what? Whenever you report bad production numbers and you come in with very low sales numbers and stuff, that's what happens, especially whenever you're so hyped up like these companies were, they just give back those gains. So it's bad to see. Even Rivian, like you mentioned, Mike, is down 3.4%. They're starting to really sell off in some major ways. And, I would love to grab these companies for the long term, Mike. I'm really struggling to find a good price point to buy in at. It's probably going to take a long time before we start seeing some nice consolidation.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and then VXX is just flying, Tom. Like all of the breakout screeners are all pointing to VXX.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. VXX is flying up, and, we have a lot of big tech plays starting to move back to the downside again, like Tesla is really falling back over. Apple was doing pretty decent at market open, and then over the past 10 minutes, it's just been pulling right back to the downside again. But yeah, I mean, just lots of stocks continue to pull the market down today. I will say my watch list is pretty green, but I don't have too many explosive stocks in the green. Seems like a lot of the bigger movers are all down in the red today. But some of my notable movers up, like we mentioned earlier, Mike, are some of those airlines. I mean, they're looking really good. At least they were, obviously they pulled back over the past 5 minutes. Look at that pullback, Mike. At open, AAL flew from $15 up to $15.75 with that huge extension and just gave it all right back. So these airlines are definitely getting volatile here. It's going to be a tough trade.
Yeah. You said at least they were looking good. But yeah, that is a pretty big move. Look at Delta. Went all the way from 35.38 down to 34. Huh. Yeah, looks like it just totally shifted around.
Yeah, it did. And, it could still keep going up later in the day. It's just, Obviously, it's volatile. It had that big news come out this morning. So that's obviously why it's probably having this type of volatility. But look at that IV even kind of drop down, Mike. I thought that was pretty interesting to see the IV drop down at market open, but it looks like it's kind of shooting back up now that the volatility is going crazy.
Yep. All right. And then how is Exxon doing, Tom? It's actually pretty volatile today.
Yeah, I actually saw they were down quite a bit on my watch list. Yeah, they're down 4.6%. Definitely not looking the best, all the way back down below $80 again. And, these oil plays were exploding there for a few days, but they started giving back all of those gains and then some. This one looks like on the daily chart, Mike, like we might finally be seeing a pretty big pullback happen. If Exxon can start to fall below $75, I could see this one starting to sell off even more. So it's definitely a big mover, Mike. It has a lot of volatility right now with the oil market. I wonder how crude's looking. And wow, Mike, crude oil is down below 100. We're back down to $95 today. That's pretty big for crude. I know we're down another 7%. So looks like those oil prices are going back down. So maybe that'll help us out at the gas pump. I know people have been posting all over the Discord and everything that they're pretty upset with the current gas prices, to say the least. So hopefully we see /RB, the gasoline futures, and just gasoline prices in general come back, because I know people don't like paying $5 a gallon. It's pretty insane to pay those prices.
Yep. All right, and let's see. So J Deep said Moderna puts with a question mark. Let's see, mRNA. So it's down 3% right now. It was looking good this morning, but a ton of sellers came in right at open. I am seeing some support at like 147, but I'm also seeing more support at 145. So I would say like if we had like a clean break below like 145, it can be decent for puts, but just like my personal opinion, I feel like it's not an amazing setup for two reasons. The first one being the IV, but then the second one is like if we look at here, Tom, can you go to a daily chart really quickly? I just want to demonstrate something. So if we look at like a daily chart of let's say NEO, this is actually a really good example. We can see, like, if we look over, like, the past 3 or 4 trading days, maybe even over, like, the past 10 trading days, overall, NEO has been continuously breaking lows. It's been very weak. It's been closing near its low almost every day, and it's just been, like, a selling panic disaster, you can call it. There's a ton of sellers coming in, and the momentum is overwhelming to the downside. However, when we look at Moderna has been consolidating for like a month now at this point. And then also yesterday, it had a really, really good day to the upside. So the momentum is not as defined on Moderna as it is with some of these other stocks. So for that reason, like if it broke support maybe at like 145 in like a very clean way, it can be decent, but I'm not going to say it's a great play.
Yeah, me either. Then especially whenever we saw that news come in yesterday, like there was some bad news out of China that made Moderna rise up in the middle of the day. China announced like an outbreak in COVID cases, and I actually have a pretty good CNBC article. I'm actually going to pull it up really quickly, Mike. It actually says COVID cases are rising as Omicron stealth subvariant spreads around the world. They're talking about the UK and Germany continuing to see record high daily infections with more than 250,000 new cases a day. It looks like we just found another variant, Mike. What was the last one called? I'm not even sure. Omicron. And then what did we have before that? Delta. Yeah. Now we have stealth. So it seems like we're just continuing to see more and more stuff. But hey, look, Mike, I'm getting an AI ad. Maybe that'll help people. Maybe that'll help their revenue there if they keep pushing those ads. But hey, either way, though, COVID cases are rising, and it's not a good thing to see, but that helps the vaccine stocks. Like yesterday, it wasn't just Moderna that went up, Mike. It was the whole vaccine sector. It was Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. All three stocks just flew up to the upside. I'm sure there was other stocks that could have moved up from this as well. I know biotech did too, but either way, all the vaccine stocks had a big move. So just keep that on the radar. Like Mike said, if that overall sector is bullish, it's going to be tough for Moderna to keep falling down. And I will say, Mike, it looks like Moderna is bouncing off that 145 support right now. So maybe it will end up holding there. Like you said, if it does break below that, I think it'll be good for a quick in and out day trade, like super quick. But, with all the bullish stuff going on, I don't think I'd hold it too long.
For sure. So, Tom, check this out. VXX just got halted.
Yeah, that is insane. Look at this. It's halted up 20.55%. We almost got back up to that pre-market high, Mike. And wow, I mean, I cannot believe it's halted up here like this. We fell all the way back down. And then as soon as the market opened, we ripped all the way back. So crazy volatility here, Mike. Let's check out the SPY. And the SPY is honestly holding up decently well. Maybe this will show us that the SPY might start continuing to fall off to the downside, but this really shows that there's a lot of eyes on Powell's press conference tomorrow, Mike. That interest rate decision is gonna be huge. So as far as trading goes, be really careful today, guys, because this VXX move is showing us that the volatility is gonna get crazy. So definitely be careful. I feel like the market could go anywhere today.
Yep. All right. At the same time, we have Sean saying that Oracle and then Johnson & Johnson trying to hit highs. So yeah, it seems like these value plays are holding up pretty fine, which is pretty good to see. Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, KO. Yeah, they're all looking pretty good. Same with Oracle.
Yeah, let's see Walmart there. Yeah, Walmart actually kind of broke out this morning, so I like that. But yeah, Oracle's looking really good. I like that move up there, Mike. Oracle's heading back up towards that $80 resistance. I'd love to see him break that. I know that Oracle had that crazy move with earnings, and it looks like they are finally starting to break to the upside. So hopefully we see a nice continuation out of Oracle. It's been a long time, Mike. Oracle is another stock that was getting beaten down there for a couple months, and they're a pretty solid company to say the least. So hopefully they start recovering up. I'm honestly probably gonna eye this one up for maybe like a longer term buy here, Mike. I'm not gonna buy on this breakout, but I'll definitely be eyeing it up for the next couple months or so because I really like Oracle, and like I said, they've been around for a long time, and they're I think it's called Oracle NetSuite or whatever it is. Their business solution software is great.
Alrighty, so with the next comment, we have Jordan saying, could you guys take a look at ticker FUN for a longer play? So fun. This is the Cedar Fair apparently, and I'm just pulling up some of the fundamentals really quickly. One thing I did see is that, so I'm just trying to see how the revenue has progressed over time. And in 2021, they had a revenue of $1.33 billion, and that was basically the same revenue that they had in 2017. So their revenue isn't really growing too much. Let's see, profit margin. And their net profit margin is like minus almost 4%. So it's like, for me, it's like considering their revenue isn't really growing too much and like it's not like they're printing money, I don't love the play. Like normally, like if you're like investing into a company who is not very profitable or who has a negative net profit margin, you want to see like an insane potential revenue growth, and I just don't really see that with FUN. And then at the same time, it's like their revenue stagnant, and then their fundamentals aren't the best either. So it's definitely not for me. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just looking at their fundamentals, they're definitely not the best.
Yeah, it's not my favorite play ever. They are having a nice move today. I will say I was kind of just reading some news about them, Mike. Apparently, SeaWorld tried to buy this company out a couple months ago, and they actually rejected SeaWorld's offer, which is pretty interesting. So that's interesting. Maybe that'll show that their executives have a lot of confidence in the business. But either way, though, I mean, they're in that like amusement park sector. So hopefully they do well, Mike. I know they had that huge explosion on February 1st. Maybe that had something to do with the SeaWorld stuff, but either way, I mean, I'm definitely going to keep it on the radar now that he brought that up. I'll add it to my watch list because it definitely has some interesting moves. Like today, for example, it had a pretty nice explosion at market open, but for the longer term, it's just not a play for me either.
All right. And then let's see. Oh, we have George saying good morning. The non-simultaneous start of daylight savings time between the USA and Europe is killing me. I know what you mean. It is pretty annoying how the time changes like that.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing that I don't like is like a lot of these stock websites, they'll have you pick your time zone. And then when the time zone changes, you have to switch to the other one. And, it can get kind of confusing sometimes. But I will say, I've been seeing a lot of stuff like legislation, Mike, from different states kind of like getting rid of the time zone changes. So that's going to be a little interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, either way, I know daylight savings time is very, very annoying, especially for me. And then Mike, I know it's especially annoying. I don't know about for you or not, but you got to go around and change all your clocks and, reset your ovens and everything like that, even your car. So it's kind of just a pain. But yeah, hopefully we see the SPY start to move back up here, Mike. I know it had a pretty good pre-market so far. That VXX is going so crazy that it's kind of scaring me. I look at this. It's all the way up above $36. It got unhalted. We're almost up 25%. We're at 26% now, Mike. It just continues to explode.
Oh, wow. I mean, that is crazy. Wow. I'm just in awe,
we're above
Tom.
$36 today. We were at $30 around yesterday's close.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy because, looking at the market, I know it's green today, which, it's not like the market has to be red for VIX to be green, but it's pretty rare when you have the SPY up 0.7% and uptrending right now. And at the same time, you have VXX breaking highs by the minute, and it's up almost 30%.
Yeah, this is insane, Mike. This reminds me of that time when I shorted the VIX. I mean, what's going on here? This is a huge break up above $30. I will say the VXX has had a good resistance around 30 for a while, and I'm glad to see it breaking above that. So yeah, it's definitely running up, Mike. I wonder if just people are just straight up and anticipating some big movement tomorrow. I know it's not just institutions, Mike, but a lot of retail traders, they just love to buy up VXX and just hold options of it and stuff like that heading into these events. But I'm really interested to see on what's causing this major uptrend. Looks like it got halted again, Mike, at 28% up here. So it's crazy to see this one moving the way it is. And man, I wonder if the volume is getting crazy. Let's see how much volume came in so far today. So far, only 11 million, but man, I can't wait to see what the ending number is today, because I wouldn't be surprised if it got up there.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Guys, be careful trading calls on this right now, because you're going to be paying quite a premium, Tom, because check this out. Not only do we have the stock up 30%, but we also have the IV up significantly over the past couple weeks, and we also have the IV at 165%. So check this out. So looking at VXX, right now the stock, or the ETF, ETN to be technical, is at 37. So let's say you were to buy the April 14th, 45. Oh my gosh, these are so expensive. The April 14th 45 strike call was last traded at almost $600. So it's you're going to pay $600 for the 45 strike call. So basically, your break even isn't even until $51. So it's guys, these things are expensive. You better be very careful trading options on this one, whether it's calls or puts.
Yeah, and that's funny. Augusta just goes, I just got VXX calls filled and then it halted. And that was some pretty unlucky timing with the halt for you there, Augusta. But hopefully it keeps going. The market's trying to this is pretty much showing that the market's expecting a big move. So it could continue up. I know that the chances of getting to 45 are going to be pretty low. But, I have seen the VIX make some crazy moves, Mike, especially if Powell makes the market go down or something tomorrow. The VIX could definitely keep going up. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's at this point, it's just getting absolutely insane to see. Up 28%, getting halted. Those options are just so crazy priced. I know UVXY is halted. Oh no, they're actually not halted. They were just up dead even on the day. But it's interesting, Mike. VXX is flying, but UVXY isn't really doing anything. So that's kind of that's That's very interesting in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to see how UVXY like what they hold and why they move the way they do, because it's interesting to see VXX up that much more. You know, I would have definitely expected to see UVXY moving a little bit.
Yeah, Tom, this is actually really weird. Check this out. So UVXY up 0.3%. 0.3%. And then we have the VIX index up 0.06%. Then we have the SPY up 0.8%. And then we have the VXX up 28%. So, Tom, this is very out of the ordinary. And I have a decent feeling that there is something else, like there's another reason VXX is running up besides volatility increasing, like from the market. And what I'm trying to say is basically, I think that whether it's some fund, giant trader, or institution who maybe had a giant short position on VXX, maybe they're covering their position, and then it was a snowball effect, Tom. So, for example, let's say Goldman Sachs had 10 million shares of VXX short. I wonder if they have been buying back that position lately, and then at the same time, you have people saying, "Oh wow, VXX is up 8% today. I'm going to buy some shares." And then it goes up 10%, and everyone's like, "Oh gosh, now it's really breaking out." And then other people are buying in, and it's creating the snowball effect that we're seeing now. That's what I think's happening, considering the movement of UVXY, SPY, and VIX.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what's happening, because man, this is insane. Hopefully this isn't forecasting of like what's to come tomorrow. That would definitely be worst case scenario, but I'm with you because this is some insane movement. I would definitely think there's something going on with some type of fund or something too, because this is some crazy movement coming in here, Mike. Like, we never see this out of VIX, especially whenever those other ones aren't moving either. Like if the VIX index itself was up, it would make more sense. But with VXX just rising up all on its own, I could definitely see that happening, Mike. And I know a lot of funds, they love to short VXX because, as we've talked about in the past, historically, VXX just slowly dies back off to the downside. And, if they would have been grabbing some short positions during that COVID explosion, they'd be doing very, very well right now. And you're definitely right. Like, look at all the volume that we've been seeing on VXX over the past few months. I think that could definitely be them go ahead and closing those short positions. But it looks like the halt did just come off, Mike, and we're flying up all the way up to above 30% now, continuing to move up. We're at $38.50 at the high. I wonder if we'll get up to 40 soon. I bet we will, but man, up 33%. I mean, who would have ever said this out of VXX today? Maybe tomorrow we would have expected it's a crazy move, but wow, I mean, this is just continuing to explode, Mike. And I even want to see like the active trader real quick. I want to see like what's coming through here, because I mean, this is insane. I just can't believe all of the orders we're seeing.
Yeah, this is insane. Tom, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Like, obviously I've seen days when VXX pops to the upside, but it is so rare to see VXX moving like this when the SPY is moving the way it is, and the VIX index is moving the way it is, and UVXY is moving the way it is, and S&P 500, like the index options, are moving the way they are. So it's like, there is definitely something out of the ordinary going on. And like I said, I would really think it's a fun covering, and then the snowball effect of like the breakout traders coming in, because it's like, you just don't see this.
Yeah, and imagine, Mike, I bet a lot of retail traders right now are probably thinking in their head, wow, VXX is flying up. I better buy some because this is showing us that tomorrow Powell might tank the market or something. But,
True.
Just keep in mind, guys, this is definitely out of the ordinary. Don't think that. This is definitely something else going on. It could be forecasting something bad coming, but I would say, in my opinion, Mike, it's definitely something going on with the hedge funds. We are halted again up here at 38.15%. It seems like we get unhalted and then instantly rehalted again. So definitely interesting, Mike, and we'll definitely keep our eyes on this. I cannot believe what we're seeing. We're almost up to $40, and overall, it's gonna be hard to trade this one, guys. If you are in it, definitely be careful. Personally, I don't even think I'd touch it right now, but It's insane. Maybe you can make some money on those calls. I know Augusta said he was in. Augusta, did you end up selling out anything at all? Definitely let me know. I know you said you got filled there, so it's going to be interesting to see how you end up with this one because it's pretty crazy. You know, I'd feel bad if we unhalted and came back down or something pretty hard.
Jeez. Like I'm just like staring at this chart. I'm like, what the? Oh gosh, yeah, that's crazy. So it's halted again, like Tom said, but it's up 38% as of the last trade. Let's see. I mean, look at this IV, Tom, too. Like it's insane. Oh yeah, we could finally scroll through the trade history now that it's halted. Let's see.
Whoa, look at the time in sales right before the halt, Mike.
Yeah.
Look at all of this. Look at all of the green orders that came in at once with not one red order sprinkled in. That is insane, Mike. You have to scroll down a lot before you start seeing those red orders. That is telling. I mean, there's one block of red orders there, but other than that, right around $40, we just had tons of buyers coming in. That is insane. I never see a time in sales that's that biased to one way or the other. So that is insane there, Mike. And no wonder it got halted. I mean, that's telling. I know that might not be like, you know, like the craziest thing in the world, but that is pretty nuts to see that many green orders in a row.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the green happens when, I guess you can say, the order is filled at the ask price. So, you know, like for example, let's just say for like a very, very simple example, let's say a stock is at 100 and then like let's say the bid is at 99 and the ask is at 101 and someone wants to come in and buy the stock. If they didn't really care, if they didn't have any urgency, they might just submit their bid at like $99 or maybe like $99.20. But if someone is like really trying to get filled or really trying to get that play, they're going to put their bid at 101. They're going to put it right at the asking price because then, you know, they're, I guess you can say, quote unquote, guaranteed to be filled. So basically, we're seeing a bunch of people flocking in saying, just get me VXX. As Tom's shown.
Yeah, they're just buying it right up there at the highest price that they can possibly get it at because they just want to get filled. They want to get in right now. And I mean, I cannot believe all the orders I'm seeing, Mike. Like you said, this is probably some type of algorithm or institutions or something like that coming in. Obviously, there's other traders mixed in too, but I mean, it's insane to see it going up this much like this. And man, I can't wait for it to unhalt. I wonder how we're going to move this time. Hopefully it keeps flying, Mike. I mean, it's getting explosive. I feel like like I said earlier, I feel like a lot of retail traders might also be jumping in just in anticipation of some of these events coming up. I know that VXX is a huge stock to buy before these events. So that could be partly the reason, but man, I mean, it's insane to see. UVXY is finally starting to get some nice green momentum, Mike. I feel like maybe some of those VXX traders are coming over to UVXY to see what's going on because it's definitely looking pretty good here as the VXX is halted. So maybe we'll see UVXY start to get that volume back up now too. Now, keep in mind, don't expect UVXY to fly up as much as VXX, but I feel like this one might start popping up too.
Yeah. So we will see. I'm just trying to see if I could find anything online like related to this, Tom. I don't know if you're seeing anything or let's see. I mean,
right now we'll probably be seeing a bunch of Twitter updates on it.
Yeah, that's true actually. Let's see. Right, give me 1 second. Cuz like
it says the VXX halt is an M halt.
Okay, so yeah, cuz we could just go to the
volatility halt.
So volatility halt. Like cuz VIX itself or VXX I should say tracks futures on the VIX index. But here's the thing. So check this out. So if we go to VIX and then we go to VIX futures, like that's the thing. Like check this out, Tom. This is actually pretty weird. So, and this is according to Investopedia. So /VX are VIX futures, right? And then this is ultimately what VXX is tracking. But we can see that the VIX futures are dramatically different than what we're seeing on the screen right now. Like, this is what really makes me think, like, some fund is getting short squeezed. I mean, look at this. Crazy.
Yeah, look at this movement. We just broke above 40. We had one red candle, and then we're right back to the upside. Look at the time in sales again. Just constant green coming through. No red orders at all. Finally, some red orders came in, and then we saw a big drop back down. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy to see this, Mike. I cannot believe the price action. Hey, I'll tell you what. This definitely made for an exciting Tuesday, Mike. I'm glad that we were able to catch this on the stream because this is awesome to see. We don't always see movement like this, so really glad to catch it with everybody on stream like this. It's really fun, but yeah, hopefully we keep rising. It's definitely been a fun morning so far. Up to 41.25. Man, we're up 40% on the VXX right now. That is absolutely nuts. Let's go check those futures, see how they look. And yeah, look at that. The futures are in the red, Mike, believe it or not. So that's funny. The futures are in the red, but VXX is up 40%. Like, Jeez. That just is this does not happen every day.
This is for those of you who like just joined or who are new, this is extremely, extremely rare. So I just want to get to a couple of these questions. He's like, so Alex said, what's causing the VXX to go nuts like that? So we don't know right now, but in my opinion, the most probable cause is the mix of a fund or institution having to buy back their short VXX call position. Another thing, I actually just thought of this, is it can also be called what's called a gamma squeeze. So essentially what happens is, we have a bunch of people buying VIX calls, right? Especially retail traders. What do you think happens when someone buys a VXX call? Do you think it just comes out of like nowhere? What ends up happening is these market makers and giant institutions end up selling to open these VXX calls. But these institutions are not dumb. They're obviously very strategic. So what they do is they try and have a lot of times what's called a delta neutral exposure. So they just want to profit off of the, I guess you can say, relatively expensive option, and they want to be neutral on the stock movement. So to do that, they'll sell to open that VXX call to a retail trader or anyone else, and they'll buy VXX shares. So basically, while we have all of these people jumping into VXX calls, we have these hedge funds who are, most likely selling them, and then they have to hedge their positions, which means buy VXX shares. And then another thing is we could have, a combination of another fund getting short squeeze, having to buy their VXX shares. And then another thing is it could be like the ultimate combination where we live in a market where it's heavily dependent upon algorithmic trading. So we could probably see the algorithms being, hey, this is booming up. I'm going to try and front run people, or I'm going to do this, or that. So I feel like it's just making a giant combination of multiple things that's making VXX move the way it is, because realistically, Tom, VXX should not be moving like this. Because looking at VIX futures, they're actually down. And that's what VXX follows. So guys, VXX should not be up. There's another reason causing this movement.
Yeah, this should not be happening like this. And Mike, I kind of feel like what you said, I feel like it has a lot to do with these algorithms this morning. I feel like that, like you said, maybe a fund started shorting it, and then after that happened, it probably caused a lot of volatility scanners and stuff like that to start showing up. Obviously, whenever the VXX got above 5 or 10%, we saw it just start to really explode. So I'm with you. I feel like something like that's definitely been going on. This is crazy to see. We're up 39%. Looks like it is kind of consolidating here, Mike. We finally got some red candles sprinkled in the mix here. So who knows? Maybe we'll start to fall back down. But overall, I would love for this one to keep going, Mike. I know in the past we've seen some crazy, crazy moves out of VXX. Normally, though, it was during the COVID crash and during the China crash a couple years ago. Normally, it's not with stuff like this. So this is definitely interesting, Mike. And I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow with it too, because we have Powell's testimony. We have his press conference tomorrow, obviously, and they're going to have that interest rate decision. So it might get even, well, I hate to say it could get more volatile tomorrow. I doubt it though, given how crazy this is today. But man, it seems like a lot of people are definitely going to be eyeing it up now. So that's going to be my thing, Mike, is tomorrow. with it going crazy today, I feel like even more people might be looking at it, at least retail traders. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. And man, I feel bad, if a lot of people start buying it up here and then it tanks way off, I'll feel a little bit bad. So definitely be careful buying this one, guys. I'm not saying it's going to go down, but just keep in mind that the other like the VIX futures and the UVXY are not moving like this. So definitely keep that on the radar, because that, in my opinion, Mike, would mean that we might see VXX tank back down pretty quickly. And we are seeing over the past couple of minutes, it's definitely starting to fall down a little bit. So definitely be wary of that. I would personally, Mike, like I said, I probably won't even touch this one with all the crazy stuff happening. I don't want to get front running by any algos.
Yeah, and then here's the thing too. It's like, let's say let's say there was no problems with the algos. It's like, I'm not paying 200% IV. Like, I'm not gonna buy options on an ETF that has an IV of almost 200%. When just a couple weeks ago the IV was at, well, I guess a couple months ago at 80%. It's like, I just like it's like that's an insane volatility that's being priced in. It's like, even if you predict the direction correctly at this point, it's like, are you really gonna pay that much for the options? It's like, geez, like if we went to April expiration, it's like an at the money call and put. I mean, like, the spreads are so wide. It looks like it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. So yeah, it's crazy.
Man, I wonder how much are the weekly calls up, Mike? Like the March 18th expiration. Like, I'm really curious to see how much, like let's say someone would have got lucky. They bought a VXX call yesterday. Let's say they bought the $30 call. Like how much do you think that's up right now?
Yep, that is currently up 434% in one day.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. 434%. I was honestly expecting you to say a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, still though, I'll take 434% if I was in those options. And I'm sure a lot of people have, we can see even VXX was rising up at the end of the day yesterday. So I'm sure people have been kind of slowly getting in anticipation of Powell, at least a little bit of traders.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then Hunter said that he saw on Twitter that Barclays stopped issuing shares and selling them yesterday, and that's why this happened. So that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know too much about it right now. We can only speculate at this point. But, yeah, that's interesting. Crazy stuff.
That is crazy. Like, they would quit issuing shares and then and selling them. So I'm trying to, like, think in my head, Mike, like, what would that totally entail if Barclays did that? So they'd quit issuing shares and selling them. Like, whenever he says stopped issuing shares, does he mean they stopped selling shares too?
So what it sounds like, okay, wait, I think I just saw the article right now. Hold on. I'm reading it right now, but initially it sounded like, how companies like kind of like issue shares of stock, Tom, and like dilute the, like the current holders. It sounds like that. So for example, like, let's say there's 100 million VXX shares to be traded. It sounds like, they continuously added more of those, which reduced the value of the shares. I'm looking at the thing right now. Let's see. Okay, I'm just reading through the article. Tom has it on the screen. Alright, so it's Barclays, which expects to reopen sales and issuances of the ETNs as soon as it can accommodate additional capacity, said the actions were not linked to the crisis in Ukraine or any issue with the market dynamics and the underlying index components. The bank does not have sufficient capacity to support further sales from inventory and any further issuances of the ETNs. All right. Let's see. All right.
Barclays declined to elaborate further on the reasons for the actions.
Interesting. Let's see. All right. Still reading it right now.
The founder of this analytics service, Spot Gamma, says it has a pretty nice quotation here. They said, "My first reaction is that Barclays is probably trying to de-risk." So, I mean, I guess that makes sense for Barclays there. But either way, we're not seeing too much, total information on the situation. But look at this. If I scroll down, it does say short squeeze candidate. for VXX, a heavily shorted instrument with about 90% of its shares sold short. So that could be, you're right, Mike. I mean, I would definitely think that at least some type of shorts covering today, or like some type of covering is going on. That would be huge. Obviously, if they said with about 90% of its shares are sold short. I mean, that is talk about a short interest, Mike. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 90% of its shares sold short, like you said. Wow. All right.
I knew that a lot of institutions shorted VXX, but I did not know that 90% was shorted. I mean, that is insane, to be honest. And wow, yeah, look at this. It says VXX shorts are already teetering. The lack of supply might really put them over the edge. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a crazy thing. Thanks, Hunter, for finding that. I mean, that was a big find there. We'll definitely keep reading into that. But look at this. We're halted to the downside now, Mike. We fell down to 37.43, kind of sitting down here just hovering. Definitely starting to fall back off. I wonder how the rest of the day is going to go. Let me know in the comments, guys. If you guys think the VXX is going to end up breaking the high of day, let me know. If you think we're going to end up back down around $34 or $32 or something, definitely let me know that as well. I'll be interested to see what everyone's thoughts are because, you know, I mean, I've seen some days where the VIX continues up later in the day, so maybe we'll see that happen. But this has been a crazy move, Mike. I don't even know what to expect with this one. Honestly, I would kind of expect it to fall back down, given that UVXY and the VIX index aren't moving too much. So I would think it falls back down. And it's pretty crazy because the SPY is kind of starting to rip up. So, you know, whenever the SPY goes up, we always expect VXX to go down. So if this continues the way it is, we might see like a bit of like a flash crash intraday here.
Wow, today was a crazy morning, and the market has not even been open for an hour. Oh gosh. Crazy.
Yeah, but hey, let's check out some of these stocks, Mike. I will say Peloton is having a day. It's up 11% while the VIX is going crazy. So that's nice to see. I know Peloton's been getting beaten down for a long time. I'm glad to see them finally getting some nice momentum back up, Mike. And it looks like they're kind of bouncing right around that $20 support. So I know Peloton's not the best stock in the world, especially over the past 6 months, but hopefully they start recovering. I know they've had a lot of issues going on, and it's always nice to see them having a nice 11% day. Like we talked about at the beginning of the stream, a lot of these airlines are still doing very, very well. Delta's holding up. American's also doing well. And, you know, we're also continuing to see Zoom fly up, Mike. Zoom's up 6%, really getting up here intraday. So a lot of these growth stocks are doing very, very well. Even our favorite stock, Mike, DraftKings, up 4.3%, having a nice day. Square's up. Teladoc's up. It's been a pretty fun, great day so far, Mike.
There we go. Yeah, Zoom, I was just looking at that one. It just broke above 100.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, right at that psychological level, just got up there. Hopefully we continue. Yesterday, whenever we broke 100, we ran all the way up to 102 pretty quickly there. So hopefully we see a nice move at least up to 102. I really hope to see another move higher than that. It's crazy to say that Zoom's up 6%, Mike, but whenever we look at the chart, there's so much more room to the upside that, you know, like 10% days out of some of these growth stocks aren't out of the cards, in my opinion. You know, I feel like that with the way Zoom's going, you know, we're going to need to recover up a lot. So 10% would almost be nothing, in my opinion. So hopefully we see a nice move. If we break 102, Mike, I'll hope we see a nice move up towards like 104 or 105.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. Raymond says that YUMC is up 8%. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely popping up. I don't follow this one too much, but it's definitely moving.
Yeah, I'm glad this one's up. It looks like it's a China stock, so definitely worries me with that. But hey, I'm glad it's up today. I wonder if Baba's moving up, and you know, Baba's in the red, but I will say ever since market open, it's been slowly trying to come back, which is nice. It looks like JD is having a nice green day, up 8%. So yeah, I'm glad to see some of the China plays recovering. I know yesterday it was getting scary, and you know, we saw some reports of China possibly helping Russia, and the US kind of threatened China. If they did that, we would retaliate. So we'll have to see what all plays out with that. But yeah, I mean, the China plays are definitely on the recovery today, which is nice, Mike. It just, the one stock I am sad about is Baba. Like, yeah, I see JD going up and Yum and a lot of these other China stocks, but Baba's still in the red, and it's just, it had that terrible gap down this morning. Like, it just continues to sell off with BABA. It's a pretty sad sight to see there.
Yeah. Check out Disney. It's looking pretty decent so far. Yeah, I will say it's looking pretty good. Another one, Tom, I want to shift over to is Netflix. This one is finally coming back up. It's up like 4% today, and geez, it's kind of crazy to think that this one lost like half its value in like a couple months. Like, a lot of stocks have done that as well, but it's like you don't really expect it out of like a company as big as Netflix.
I know, it's crazy. Like, we see these big companies, like whether it's Netflix or Facebook or PayPal or whatever you want to look at. It's crazy to see how they've fallen this much, you know? Like, of course, if you see something like Lucid, you know, you're almost expecting a drop like that more, but you go look at stuff like Disney, Netflix, and stocks like that, and you're like, it makes you scratch your head, like, what's going on here? But, you know, I will say, Netflix has been flying up over the past, like, on the max weekly chart or max daily chart. It's been going up and up year after year. So I guess it's just giving back a little bit of those gains. But I mean, man, it's down a lot from that high. $700 down to $342. Like you said, pretty much halved itself. And I'm sure a lot of people are looking at these for the longer term. And I know I definitely am, Mike. And it's definitely going to be fun to grab some of these at these discounts, like Netflix, Facebook, stocks like that. I feel like they're just at such good levels right now for the longer term, and they might keep going down for a couple months, but I feel like that they'll still do really, really good. I love these levels, and it's crazy to see how much they're down, Mike. Like you said, they're such big companies, you would never expect them to drop this much.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, Tom, do you have any last minute plays or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Yeah, let's go check out VXX one more time. And wow, guys, like I said earlier, be careful with this one because it did end up having a little bit of a flash crash back down. We keep unhalting. Every time we unhalt, we have like another 10% drop. So VXX is now all the way back down to 33.62. That negative momentum is definitely coming back, Mike. And I mean, it's definitely going to get volatile. So be careful trading this one, guys. I know we talked about it a lot, but it doesn't mean to trade it. It was just a very fun one to look at, to say the least. But I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on ASTR. I know they have that launch coming up. I haven't looked too much into the launch with them, Mike, but I will say anytime we see these companies do a successful launch, they do end up moving pretty well. So if we see that launch go well, I think this stock might do pretty good. You know, it had a lot of momentum this morning, and I feel like it could definitely have a nice run if that launch is successful. But just keep in mind, like we saw yesterday, you know, the launch got delayed because of bad weather, I believe, and we've seen other companies like SPCE have issues with their launches. So definitely be wary of that, but it'll be nice to trade if that launch does go good, Mike. I could see a pretty good breakout up above $3.80, and then hopefully we would get a move up towards $4. So definitely throw it on the radar. It could probably have a lot of volatility later.
Alrighty, so before we close out, I just want to personally thank everyone for joining. So thank you so much, Trading, Mike, Vicky, LU, Carlos, let's see, J Deep, Sean, Jordan, George, Joe, Augusta, Sean, let's see, Alex, and Hunter, and Raymond. I think that is everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. We definitely had a wild day in the market, and the market basically just opened. So be prepared for more volatility, and thank you guys so much for watching.